Let's bring in former Seahawks receiver Michael Bumpus. Bump, at first glance, what do you think when you see that schedule?
First glance, I see a lot of primetime games, and that's what I'm excited about. This is a primetime type football. Second glance, I see an opportunity to play with a lot of young talent or against a lot of young talent. You're going to see Trevor Lawrence. You're going to see Trey Lance. End of the season, Chicago, you would think Andy Dalton's out of there and Justin Fields is there. So you have an opportunity to show the nation once again that this is a good football organization, and you get to match up against the young quarterbacks and see how they do with that.
Well, let's dive into the first 17-game regular season schedule in Seahawks history. Remember, the extra game this season will be on the road in Pittsburgh, but that does not come until week 6. So as we showed you this morning, the Hawks are at Indianapolis in week 1. The Hawks home opener at Lumen Field against Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry, and the Titans, and 2 straight road games at Minnesota and the division opener at San Francisco. Let's start with the Colts. What are your thoughts about facing Carson Wentz, reuniting with Frank Reich, his former offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, where he had a lot of success there?
I think it's a good move for Carson Wentz, getting with Frank Reich, getting some familiarity. He had his best years as a quarterback with this guy. Now, what does that mean for the Hawks? It means that they have to travel. It's going to be an early game. If this was 2008, when I was on the football team, you would chalk this up as a loss. That's just not what the Hawks do anymore. They found a recipe that allows them to get acclimated and get going. You know that the Colts have some weapons over there. T.Y. is coming back. Michael Pittman Jr. is a good young receiver. And they have a running game in Jonathan Taylor. Good football team, I feel like, is going to be there in the Indianapolis Colts. But I believe in the Hawks. I think this is a good week 1 matchup, and I think they should be confident.
Now, the Seahawks have actually won 11 of their last 12 games that have kicked off at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The Colts went 11-5 last year. They lost a tiebreaker for the division title in the AFC South. I'm going to give you the good news and the bad news. The bad news is the Seahawks haven't won in Indianapolis since 1997. The good news is what I just mentioned. They have been really strong in the 10 a.m. Pacific games, including last year's opener in Atlanta. It used to be such a burden for this team for early kickoffs. Why is it not an issue anymore?
It's something in the water. It's something in the itinerary that Pete Carroll puts together, and just the mental focus of this football team. You have leaders like Russell Wilson, who have been around for a while, Bobby Wagner, these guys who can lead the charge and show these young guys, this is how you prepare to go on the road. You mentioned last year against the Atlanta Falcons, man, they came out hot. That offense was flying. Defenses were trying to figure out what to do with this team. I hope that's the team that we see in week 1. And I think it can be the team. That narrative that they don't win in 10 a.m. games, that's gone. These guys were in middle school when we weren't winning games in 10 a.m. All they know is winning these early games. So I expect some success down there, but it could be a battle with all those offensive weapons I mentioned earlier.
Let's hope that trend continues. Up next, it's the Seahawks home opener hosting the Tennessee Titans. This is a scary game for me on so many levels, the first being Derrick Henry. For some reason, whenever I hear Pete Carroll use the word finish, I think of Derrick Henry, because that guy has some of his best performances in the fourth quarter when the opposing teams are completely worn down. He knows the meaning of finish.
This is a scary running back, Aaron. This guy is big. He's strong. He finishes runs. I haven't seen a guy with this size have so many runs over 50, 60 yards. That's what he does. He wears you down. He is legit a heavyweight contender in the NFL. Now it's up to this defense. Can you stay focused? Can you wrap up? Can you gang tackle? You don't want to have one guy trying to make an open field tackle against Derrick Henry. The positive is week 2. You expect to have most of your dogs in the fight during week 2. They know it's going to be a battle. But like I said, early in the season, these guys should be healthy. I'm scared as well, but that's every week in the NFL, baby. Any given Sunday, anybody can get it.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel's teams are always competitive. And remember, the last time they faced the Titans, it was in Nashville, and Pete Carroll thought his team was a bit distracted because of all the conversations that were happening with the national anthem and standing or kneeling. That was the week Carroll said it really took a toll on them back in 2017. Hopefully a different circumstance this time around. Then the Seahawks get to head to Minnesota in week 3. It's their first regular season game at the new stadium there. They were there for a preseason game a few years back. But more than anything, Bump, I think the Vikings are just happy to not have to come to Seattle this year. They've lost games to the Hawks at Lumen Field the last 3 seasons. This is a rematch of that incredible primetime game last year, which ended in a somewhat remarkable Seahawks win on their final drive.
Oh, yeah, and what a game it was, right? DK Metcalf, 2 fourth-down receptions, 1 on the sideline. Big ups to Travis Homer for picking up a blitz in that final drive. DK finishes off with a touchdown. Yeah, they're happy they don't want to come here. And the last time the Hawks were down there, it was good for them as well. Vikings just haven't had that much success. But again, you look at the offensive weapons that this team has. You still got Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, who's one of the best young receivers in the league. They're going to be challenged. Again, early in the season, you expect most guys to be healthy. When we talk about mental challenges, the Hawks got their number when it comes to the mental. The Hawks are confident when it comes to Minnesota Vikings. These are professionals on the other side of the ball. The Vikings will be confident, but Cousins knows that they haven't won in a while. Justin Jefferson is hearing the narrative. Dalvin Cook knows. There's a mental battle that's going to go on here. You would expect the Hawks to be victorious, though.
Yeah, that win was one of Russell Wilson's 35 fourth quarter or overtime comebacks in his career, the most in the league since the start of the 2012 season. By the way, this will be the Seahawks' first game that counts in Minnesota since the infamous Blair Walsh miss in the wildcard round of the playoffs in January 2016. The Seahawks have actually beaten the Vikings in 7 straight meetings. Minnesota has not beaten Seattle since 2009. And then the fun begins. Their first divisional game of the year at the Niners. This is going to be a bit of a wild card bump because the Niners made the big trade before the draft. They take quarterback Trey Lance with a 3rd overall pick, a dual threat quarterback out of North Dakota State. But will he be ready by then? That's the big question. Or will it be Jimmy Garoppolo? What do you think?
It's tough. It's all about how quickly he learns his offense and how confident Shanahan is in calling plays for him. Can he make the adjustments? Is he going to be confident on 3rd and short when he sees the box he doesn't like? Will he be able to check out of things? We don't know. That's why early in the season, I think it's a possibility that Jimmy's going to be there because Jimmy is the transition quarterback at this point. It's all about the development of Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is available and he is a starter, I think he brings a different dynamic to the game. He is a more mobile quarterback, more athletic. I think rookies are more likely to take chances. Now, that can happen in two things can happen from that. Either he makes big plays or he tosses the ball up there and this defense is able to make big plays. Either way it goes, whatever quarterback you see, there are pluses and minuses. You keep Jimmy in the pocket, you make him throw outside the numbers, I think you're good. If Trey Lance is there, you put pressure on him, you make him make those rookie mistakes, I think they're good. But you can't forget about the guys that have on the outside. Like Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Mostert in the backfield. A lot of talent there. Their defense should be healthier than they were last year with Bosa being healthy. It's always going to be a battle with these guys. I know they've won a lot of the games previously, but it's the 49ers. It's a division game. Whoever's playing, there's plus and minuses. Niners versus Seahawks, you got to be ready to go. Yeah,
the Seahawks have won 3 of their last 4 games against the 49ers. Let's hope that trend continues as well. It's interesting because they return home just 4 days later to host the Rams on Thursday Night Football right here on Q13 Fox. In fact, the Rams game is the first of 3 straight primetime games with a Sunday night showdown in Pittsburgh and then a Monday night home game against the Saints. They then host the Jaguars on Halloween. And when you're talking about the Rams, these guys have been an absolute thorn in the side of the Seahawks the last few years under Sean McVay. If you include the playoff game last year, the Rams have now won 6 of their last 8 meetings against Seattle, and they now bring in a veteran quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Dare I say a much more competent quarterback as well? I mean, what can we expect from the Rams with Stafford?
Again, a more competent quarterback, a quarterback who's been through some battles, a quarterback who isn't afraid in the fourth quarter. You talking about Russell Wilson's comebacks in the fourth quarter. Matthew Stafford has to be right behind him when it comes to that. And now it's a pride battle too. How is Shane Waldron going to approach this? You know, what's the defensive coordinator for the Rams? How are they going to approach this? Are they going to expect the same Rams offense from the Seahawks? There's going to be a lot of trickery going on, I feel like, in this game. You have Gerald Everett, who's the tight end for the Seahawks now, who was with the Rams. A lot of storylines. I know that the Hawks are going to be ready to go. They lost the divisional round to the Rams. They're talking about you can have your T-shirts. We're going to keep playing the playoffs. There's bad blood when it comes to this matchup. But again, that's what division football is all about. And now we get to see 2 older quarterbacks go at it. 2 guys who have shown that they can win ball games. Matthew Stafford hasn't had the success that his ability really shows that he should have in Detroit. He has to be rejuvenated. You would think Sean McVay is rejuvenated. They're trying to kind of change what they have in the past 2 years. I expect the battle. It's all about Aaron Donald, though. Can you contain this man?
Yeah, I mean, he's the best defensive lineman in the game. Talking about Aaron Donald, whenever I go back to Russell Wilson's comments this offseason about needing more protection, this is the team I go back to. The Rams are sort of the litmus test. Aaron Donald has absolutely owned the Seahawks. So have the Seahawks done enough with bringing Gabe Jackson in to help Russell out when it comes to facing Donald and the Rams?
Aaron, I'm sorry to say, you can never do enough. He's Aaron Donald. You can put anybody in front of him. He's going to get his. Now, last year he faced Damian Lewis, who was a rookie, who I felt did his best against an all-pro guy. Now you bring in Gabe, you're going to have some help at that guard position. But at the end of the day, this is the guy who leads the league in sacks most of the time from the interior. You know how hard that is. He's taking on double teams. He's pushing guys back. I mean, if you walk away from this game and Aaron Donald has 1 sack and a couple of pressures, you call that a win. Have they done enough? No. No one in the league has done enough. You just take what you can get out of those guys.
Well, next up, a Sunday night showdown in Pittsburgh, where the Seahawks have won just once since 1999, but it came 2 years ago with a 2-point win. That was a game Ben Roethlisberger left with an elbow injury in the second quarter. Mason Rudolph came in and kept that game close. Heinz Field, never an easy place to play, and they will do so in primetime, Bump.
Yeah, never an easy place to play, but at least it's early in the season. You get into November, December, it gets cold out there. I know it's cold in the Northwest at times, but it's different over there. Ben Roethlisberger, people are saying that he is over the hill. I don't agree with that. The guy still threw 33 touchdowns last year. Yes, he had a horrible game against the Cleveland Browns, but he still almost won that ball game. I think what's going to help Aaron Rodgers is the running back Najee Harris. That's what was missing from this offense. So yes, Ben is older. Yes, you put pressure on him. You should be able to have him turn the ball over, but I think he can still get it done. It's not easy to play down there. Plus side, it's earlier in the season. The weather should be decent. He's got to be ready to go. Ben Roethlisberger's still a baller.
And the Seahawks tend to thrive under the lights with Pete Carroll as head coach. 33-8-1 in primetime games under Carroll since 2010, including a 4-1 record last year. Why are they so good in those games?
Mental. It's all mentality. Pete Carroll says, look, every game is a playoff game, a championship game, a primetime game. And these guys look forward to that. Even me, as the pre and post for the radio for the Seahawks, when I walk up to the stadium and I see the Monday night football, Thursday night football, Sunday night football trucks, I get excited. I get ready to go. So I can only imagine what it's like for those guys who are actually lacing them up. When you're in the huddle, you have number 3 who has led this team in many primetime games. You have to be confident. When you're in the huddle, you look at 54, you got Jamal Adams back there. These guys thrive in these moments. So these young guys feed off of that energy. Feed off of Pete Carroll's energy, his philosophy. That's the reason why they've been successful in primetime football.
Well, you're in luck because another primetime game is coming up. This one is at home, but that's the Seahawks' bread and butter. 22-3 under Pete Carroll in primetime home games. And this season, they host the Saints on Monday Night Football. I'm not sure we know who the Saints quarterback will be with Drew Brees retiring, but Alvin Kamara is still one of the most dangerous players in all of football.
Kamara is the running back that everybody wants. This guy can run the football in between the tackles. He can run outside the tackles. He can catch the football on screens. He can line up as a receiver in the slot and do work from there. He's the guy you always got to know where he is. When you're playing against the Saints, you got to have linebackers pointing to where he is. Identify where Kamara is and make sure that you're gang tackling. Special type of player to see how they use it.
Right now, it looks to also be a race between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill for the starting quarterback job, although if Winston is the quarterback, we'll definitely see Hill out there in some capacity as well. By the way, I mentioned the home primetime stat. The Seahawks are also 27-10 on Monday Night Football all time. That is the best winning percentage in Monday night history. I'm not sure what I'm more excited to see next. The first overall pick in the draft and Trevor Lawrence playing for the Jaguars, or the return of Shaquille Griffin, or how Trevor Lawrence and that offense is going to look with both Darrell Bevell and Brian Schottenheimer having a part in the offensive coaching staff there. Just a ton of storylines as Jacksonville comes to town on Halloween. What are you most excited for?
Yeah, tons of storylines there. I'm excited to see Trevor. I want to see what he's all about. And honestly, I want to see if Tim Tebow is going to be on this team and if he's going to be a tight end for them as well. You mentioned Bevell and Schottenheimer working together. The plus side for them, they know how to work with young quarterbacks. They know how to develop young quarterbacks. It's going to be simple enough, the offense at least, will be simple enough for Trevor Lawrence to make plays. It's all about how much are they going to give him? Can he handle the full playbook? Is he going to only have half of the playbook? How far is his development going to be from here? And then you talk about Shaq Griffin. Hate to see him go. Happy he got his money. I just hope he doesn't play well against the Seattle Seahawks. He's back at home in the state of Florida where he grew up. Like you said, a bunch of storylines there. But with a young quarterback, what do? You overwhelm him. You put pressure on him. That's what I expect this defense to do. They should be confident against Trevor Lawrence, even though he is a great talent.
Quickly, is Tebow going to make that team as a tight end?
He better not make that team, man. I know 5 other guys who need a shot. Yeah, big ups to you, Tebow, but I don't think so.
Well, the bye week comes at a perfect time for the Seahawks, right in the middle of their schedule, and that comes before a trip to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Then they host Arizona in Week 11 before a Monday night game at the Washington football team in Week 12, and another primetime home game against the Niners on Sunday, December 5th. At this point, I think the Seahawks and Packers kind of need to be in the same division, Bump, because they seem to play every single year. The big question, though, is will Aaron Rodgers be the opposing quarterback in this one? Will he actually play for Green Bay this year?
It's not looking like it. The guy is not happy. And he's one of the few in this league who have leverage. Only guys who have leverage are quarterbacks who are elite. And that's exactly what he is. If he wants to get out of there, he can force himself out of there. They just picked up Blake Bortles. You got Jordan Love over there. They have quarterbacks who can fill his spot, but there's nothing like an Aaron Rodgers. They're going to do everything they can to try to keep this guy. But everything that I'm hearing and I'm seeing, Aaron, is telling me that he wants to be gone. And if he's gone that week, I'm not mad at all.
You mentioned Jordan Love and also Blake Bortles signing with the Packers earlier today. It's the Seahawks' first trip there since that playoff loss back in January 2020. And again, the Seahawks are winless in Green Bay since 1999, 0-9 since then. Why is it such a difficult place to play at Lambeau Field? Russell Wilson never won a game there either.
Hard to say. I mean, when are they playing these guys? It's going to be November. It will be cold. Maybe weather has something to do with it. I would have to assume when you walk up to Lambeau Field, you just feel the history. You know you're going to be in for a dogfight, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who's healthy, who's not healthy. There's a sense of pride that the Green Bay Packers have that they bring to the football field every single week. Now you add an all-time quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. If he's there, a guy who's coming off the MVP season, they're going to have their hands full. So their best bet, you better hope you got Bortles or Love in there to kind of give you some love when it comes to playing the Green Bay Packers.
No pun intended. Up next, it's the Cardinals at home. What do you think we've learned about Kyler Murray the last couple of seasons?
Kyler Murray, he's evolving. You see the guy getting better. Now he has weapons. He has A.J. Green and Hopkins. Don't forget James Conner in the backfield combined with Chase Edmonds. This offense is going to be ready to go. Now, don't sleep on the defense. They have one of the fastest defenses in the NFL right now. They are made for the pass game and for these fast running backs. This is a team on the rise. Big year for Kingsbury.
The Cardinals' defense is always dangerous also, especially if they still have Chandler Jones, and now they add J.J. Watt to the mix. Why is all this amazing talent coming to the NFC West, Bump? It's making it that much more difficult for the Hawks.
Hey, it's nice out west. You know that, Aaron. The sun shines on us. It's a bit different. Now, talent is going down to Arizona. I told my wife that's where I want to retire anyway because there's golf courses for days and it's always sunny. So wherever it's warm, you're going to get guys going out west. This is the toughest division in football by far.
And then the fourth of 5 primetime games this season coming on a Monday night at the Washington football team. Hopefully there won't be any Fitz magic there because Ryan Fitzpatrick coming to Washington this season. What can we expect from him?
You just never know. I mean, he could throw 4 interceptions one week and then toss it for 500 yards the next week. This guy is the definition of longevity and a competitor. Went to Harvard. Everyone's going to say he's one of the smartest guys out there. Forget all that. When you're the league as long as Fitzpatrick has been in and played for the teams that he's played in, it's all about experience. Harvard is long gone from now. This guy has a master's degree from the NFL. That's what makes him scary, and he's not afraid to compete. And he will have one of the best defenses in the league backing him up. You never know with Fitzpatrick. It's a wild card game to just toss it up and see how the cookie crumbles. And then the stretch run begins. The Seahawks hosting the Niners on Sunday Night Football, December 5th. The first primetime matchup against the Niners at home since that season finale a couple years ago that ended pretty much at the 1-inch line. What do you remember about that one? I remember being sick to my stomach.
Yeah, we all do.
Remember John Stewart is coming up a little short on a catch to get in the end zone. There's always something with the 49ers. You never know how these games are going to go. The Hawks have been successful as of late, but again, division game, the 49ers, a bunch of emotions behind this. I expect a battle, primetime football as well. We're now 12 games in, 5 games to go down the stretch. We're going to take a look at them on the other side of the break, and that includes a showdown with a familiar foe. Jared Goff now in Detroit, and the Hawks are hosting the Lions this season. That's next as we go through the entire 2021 Seahawks regular season schedule. Again, if you're just joining us, the Seahawks announcing their schedule within the last half hour. This is how it looks. 10 of these games will be here on Q13 Fox, along with all 3 preseason games, which we'll get to in a minute. But we can tease that you should try to buy some plane tickets to Vegas if you're interested in some preseason action as well. In the last segment, we went through the first 12 games of the year until December. So now let's take a look at weeks 13 to 17, starting with 2 more road games at Houston and the LA Rams,
home games against the Bears and the Lions, and a regular season finale at the Cardinals. The Seahawks headed to Houston to face the Texans. Bump, again, this is one of those games that could be scary if Deshaun Watson plays, but there's a ton of legal issues surrounding the Texans quarterback. And even before that, Watson said he was not going to play for Houston this season. He seems pretty dug in here. The Texans drafted Davis Mills. They also have Tyrod Taylor. So what do you think about this matchup as a whole?
This is one of the games that you have to circle on your calendar and say, okay, this is a win. You know, there are a lot of games in the NFL. You can't really do that. But with all the things going on in Houston, we're still uncertain about Deshaun Watson. Management has their issues. This is a game where you have to be like, look, we are just going to impose our will on these guys and make them just give up. There are a lot of things going on with the Houston Texans. I'm confident whether Deshaun's there or not, they have a lot of things to fix down there. This comes down to how the organizations are ran. Seahawks gets a W.
A couple familiar faces in that one as well, with Justin Britt signing with Houston this offseason and Jacob Martin also starting for their defense. Then the Rams on the road. By the way, I forgot to ask, at what point of this year do you think this new Shane Waldron offense will be clicking? Because it's likely going to incorporate some of the stuff we saw with the Rams in previous years.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take like 3 to 4 weeks. I think because you have Russell Wilson, a veteran, because Chris Carson is signed, you have the weapons on the outside, that they're going to have success, but they want success on another level. They want this offense looking like the first 7 weeks last year, just with the twist. So I think it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks with guys not showing up to these mini camps, or we'll see how the Hawks players kind of handle that. It's going to make them kind of have to grind through some times. There will be some tough times. People just can't expect for this offense to come out and click. There has to be some chemistry there. I think it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, just 3 games left now, starting with the Chicago Bears. And with all the speculation this offseason, you might even call it the Russell Wilson Bowl. I mean, some Bears fans were convinced Wilson would be headed to the Windy City. Instead, they sign Andy Dalton. They trade up to grab Justin Fields. Again, this is a timing situation. The Bears general manager has already named Dalton their starting quarterback. But at this time of year, you have to think Fields is going to be their starter, right?
They're crazy. Fields is going to be the starter. He should be the starter week 1. But if he's not the starter week 1, by week 16, he will be that guy. So now it's how many reps has Andy Dalton gotten, right? Well, how much film are they going to have on Justin Fields? Are they going to wait as long as they can to get this guy going, Justin Fields? I don't think that's the plan. Nagy has his job on the line. They traded up for a reason. You don't trade up and get one of the best quarterbacks in this draft and make him sit to this point. That's just not how the NFL works anymore. This isn't Mahomes backing up Alex Smith. This is the Chicago Bears, who haven't had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in over 20-something years. It's ridiculous. They have to let this young man play. I expect to see him against the Seahawks.
It's the Bears' first visit to Seattle since 2015. That was a game the Seahawks won 26-0. Jimmy Clausen was the Bears' quarterback back then, so they're hoping for a lot more out of Justin Fields. In the second to last week, they will find a familiar quarterback, Jared Goff, finding a new home with the Detroit Lions. Bump, is this where we find out how good Jared Goff really is? Because I've always felt that Goff's success has simply been a product of Sean McVay's offensive system with the Rams.
And we'll know before this. This is too deep in the season. We'll know exactly who he is. And I think we'll see the Jared Goff that we've seen. A guy who is okay from the pocket. If you protect him, he'll get the football to his playmakers. But if you rattle him, he'll toss the football up and turn the ball over. I never wish bad on the athlete. I've been an athlete. I've been criticized. Now I'm on the other side doing the criticism. But I think we've seen the best of Jared Goff. I think that's why he's not with the LA Rams. If Sean McVay thought that he could help turn a corner with this young man, he would still be there. Instead, he goes for an older, more experienced quarterback in Matthew Stafford and sends Jared Goff to Detroit. I think we know who he is. I think he'll turn the ball over. He'll have flashes of decent football, but nothing special.
You know, to me, this is perfectly fitting because they end the game in Arizona, and so many strange things have happened at Arizona. I mean, this would be the first season finale, regular season finale, in an 18-week, 17-game schedule for the Seahawks. Happens to be in Arizona. What do you expect? I mean, the divisional hopes could ride on that final game.
It really could. And I expect a tight race in this division overall. I mean, you mentioned these guys haven't had success there. I know they haven't had success. I'm just going to keep the mental image of DK Metcalf running down Buda Baker. I'm sending good juju out there on this schedule, and I'm just going to ride with that. But we should expect a battle. At this point, it's all about who's healthy. You know, we know that the Hawks have some veterans on defense. Arizona has some veterans on some veterans on offense. It's a toss-up. We'll learn a lot, though. By this point, we'll know which team is more dominant on which side of the ball and what the Hawks need to do to Kyler Murray and what Kyler Murray is trying to do to this Hawks defense.
Well, quickly, let's run through the preseason schedule. All 3 games can be seen right here on Q13 Fox, your official Seahawks station. The preseason opener in Vegas, followed by home games against the Broncos and the Chargers. The exact dates of the first 2 games will be announced soon. The 3rd game will definitely be on Saturday, August 28th. But how about a mid-August trip to Vegas, Bump?
Hey, I ain't mad at that. You trying to go? Meet me there.
I love it. I'll see you there. There you go. The first 17-game regular season schedule in Seahawks history. 10 games on Q13 Fox. After going through it all, what do you think, Bump? What can we expect from Russell Wilson now going into his 10th season in Seattle?
I think we should expect him to take his game to another level. And I just want to see him sustain the start that they had last year. He's got some protection on that offensive line. He has a new weapon in Gerald Everett. You sign Chris Carson in the backfield. You have your new offensive coordinator. I want to see a guy who looks like he's 25 again. He's eager to be out there. I think that's what we're going to see defensively. We just have to have them continue how they ended last regular season. I'm excited about this season.
Should be a very fun season. Looking forward to having you join us along the way. Michael Bumpus, former Seahawks receiver and current all-star analyst. Thanks for joining us, going game by game in the Seahawks schedule. We will see you at rookie camp later this weekend.
All right, have a good one, Aaron.